This is the third straight game you'll play against a team that's top 8 in pace, and as we get towards the tail end of the season, I just wonder what specific challenges Indy poses in the pace department.
Transition defense, obviously. I think anytime, I would differentiate between, if we turn the ball over, teams that convert with numbers, if we miss a shot. I think Indiana is one of the best teams in the league at running after makes. They have multiple push guys, whether that's Halbert, Nemhart, McConnell. So it's not just getting back, it's getting back and getting shifted, and you're probably going to be cross-matched. So Miles Turner is going to have someone on him at the rim where there's a mismatch. You're going to have mismatches on the perimeter. So I think maybe the biggest thing from a transition standpoint defensively is your communication and trying to solve some of those matchup situations, not just with one guy bumping out, switching back, but just collectively, having everybody back. If you're running with your man, it's too late. You have to be ahead of the ball, shifted, and they got to see box.
Coach, I know you hate talking about yourself, but just want to see how you're doing after the last game and how you felt like the team handled, your absence and Igor kind of coaching things.
Well, Igor is not only experienced, but has been a really successful head coach on a lot of levels. Whether it be the NBA, the EuroLeague, national teams, his level of experience makes you very comfortable in those situations. And we have a great staff with a lot of people that are really talented. His experience, I think for an assistant in the league is unique. So I know he was confident and comfortable in that situation.
Coach, Trey and Tyrese, they're two of the best passing guards in the league.
Yeah.
I guess, how do you see Tyrese manipulate the game any different than Trey? Or if they're the same?
Yeah, I think there's some similarities clearly, with their ability, to see the floor. I think it's one thing to be able to make a pass and deliver the ball, and it's another thing to see multiple defenders on the court and kind of anticipate where they're going and where your offense and where your teammates are going to. So it's kind of like a perspective or a vision of the game that's unique. Some players can see one defender, some players can see a help defender, some players can see that defender, that help defender, that guy coming, and then sometimes somebody behind them. And both those guys have the ability to do that. They just see the whole floor and are able to anticipate what defenses you're doing. And I think the key word that I would use to describe, they're both deceptive in how they play.
Coach, Theo Quintar for the French Legion Basket USA. Just a question about Zachary leadership. You are coach of the French basketball player like Rudy Gobert or Boris Diaw. Can you make any comparison between this player and Zach in terms of mentality, mindset, or the new French generation player is different than the other one?
I mean, generalize about French players. Trying to get me in trouble. What do I say? I can speak to the guys that I've coached. And clearly, the other thing I can offer is that, there's a number of French players in the NBA right now, younger players, that are very talented, competitive. You can see their progression and kind of see how their careers are going to have that kind of arc. We've got one of them on our team, in Zach. And as I've said before, I think his competitiveness is unique, especially for his age. Rudy had that level of fight in him. Rudy was incredibly competitive. Anybody that watched Rudy play and Zach play, they're different players. I think all three of those guys you named, have very different games, and are all very unique. I don't think I coached a player that passed the ball better than Boris Diaw. Just his feel for the game. Rudy's a dominant defensive presence, and Rudy impacted your offense in ways that weren't necessarily as visible to people with his vertical spacing. I think Zach, who I'm focused on, we've seen not just flashes, you've seen periods of time where Zach, I've mentioned this too about his improvement not being linear, where you see these opportunities in various games where he does something and you're like, okay, and for me, those are things I've seen him working on. Sometimes for people that are just watching, that's a flash that they see that they don't see the work that's gone into generating that. A lot of the way that Zach played, last year in France and Euro Cup and the National League, he was more specialized in his role, partly just because of the teams he was on. Played for a terrific coach, and that's, I think, helped him. He's very willing to be coached, and I think his progress is going to continue to be exposing him, to different things that he's capable of doing, that he's going to continue to find out and kind of discover different things about his game. And the other thing that I mentioned is, he attacks those things. When he sees something that he knows that can make him better, he attacks it, and he just works.
Quinn, you also talked about Tyrese earlier. Sort of the numbers he's had since the break has really stood out. And what looks different on film from what you saw?
I wouldn't differentiate that that much. I think you get guys. It's such a long season, and players. He's an elite player, and he had elite games before the All-Star break. That's a question for Rick more than it is for me. I know how well he's playing and the problems that he presents trying to develop a game plan as you're trying to defend him. His range is unique. Size, his willingness to pass the ball. He's just a handful.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay.